All right, we're pretty much at 5:30 on the nose. Uh, Julie, I see your note. Not even giving me the option. Kellen, you should already have it. Kellen, you are good. I've already given you permission there. So if anyone else would like permission to record and you're not seeing it, I've tried to go through, unless you're late arriving, just type something in the chat and I'll give you that permission.
Matt, can you set me up real quick? Sorry, Camperoni. Oh, sorry. All right, go ahead. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead, Matt.
And Jim, I'll get to that. At this point, we'll turn it over to MSU Athletic Director Bill Beekman. Bill, if you have any opening statements, otherwise we'll just go ahead and move to questions at this time.
I'll just, Matt, I'll just start by saying that at 4 o'clock today, I met with our swimmers and divers in what was maybe so far my most emotional moment as their athletic director. After great consideration of lengthy consideration of a number of factors, we made the decision to end our swimming and diving varsity program at the end of this academic year. So essentially having one more year of competition. Many tears were shed, very, very challenging, difficult conversation to have with the young men and women who've dedicated, frankly, the majority of their lives to their sport. And you've all at some point heard me talk about our focus on success on the field of play, in the classroom, and in life. And although our programs have struggled in the pool, as it were, they have succeeded in every respect in their studies in the classroom and in preparation for doing great things in their futures. And so, an extraordinarily difficult decision, a very sad day for me personally, obviously for all of them and their coaches, and for Spartan Athletics. But I think at the end of the day, the right decision for Spartan Athletics. So with that, happy to answer any questions.
For our first question, we'll go to Matt Charbonneau with the Detroit News.
Hi, Bill. I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, back when mid-September, I believe it was, when the Big Ten announced they would be playing a football season, you suggested that along with a lot of the other cost cutting you guys were going through, would give you guys a chance to potentially break even. Did I understand that correctly? And were you thinking of this as part of one of those cost cutting measures, or have things kind of changed as you've gone through the last few weeks in making this call?
Well, let me, Matt, you're absolutely correct in your recollection. I think that when we think about our budget this year, with assuming that we play all 9 games, and assuming that every other Big Ten team plays all 9 games, because the TV revenue is an all-in proposition, we get 1/14 of the pool. Then that will help significantly. We will still be down somewhere in the neighborhood of $35 million, assuming that we don't have fans in the stands with the ticket, the premium seating, the seat premiums, and so on. So with all of the cuts that we've put in place, from temporary salary reductions to furloughs and the massive cost cutting we've done on the non-personnel side of the equation, it is my hope that should the TV revenue be fulsome, that we'll be able to break even or get very close. And as to swimming and diving, frankly, that there were a number of factors that went into it. Certainly, cost and budgetary savings is a factor. Their budget is about $2,070,000 ballpark. although none of that really would be realized this year because we plan on competing this year. And frankly, we will honor the scholarships of everybody that has received one, and continue to provide those students with academic and medical support. So there will be continuing expenses that will sort of create a tail for a number of years. Certainly, it does help us in the out years financially. I think that that was one component of a decision. It certainly wasn't the only factor.
Just a quick follow-up is this, I know you hope this is all there is, but can you rule out any other potential cuts? It seems like you can't rule it out, but are you hoping to avoid any other cuts of programs?
Yes. Yeah, I would say that that we have no plans to make any other program cuts that I can see going forward.
Thanks, Bill.
We are in a bit of a never say never world. If the pandemic runs for another 2 years at the pace it's currently running, I don't think any of us expect that. But one can imagine every kind of crazy scenario imaginable. But in all of our current modeling, we are where we are.
Our next question will go to Kyle Austin at MLive.
Hi, Bill. Wondering if you could kind of explain the facility situation that played into here with swimming and diving. It sounds like the indoor pool didn't have the size that you needed, and it said that at least the outdoor pool was no longer available. Can you just say how that kind of played into it and what you were looking at as far as if you needed to? I know you had talked at one point about trying to get new facilities for them. I mean, how much was that going to be, and how did this kind of play in?
Right, and certainly that was a significant factor in our decision-making process. When you look across the Big Ten at swimming facilities, virtually every place, the swimming pool that is used by the varsity swim program is a function of the university's intramural and student recreation services programs. And that's the case here at Michigan State as well, where the athletic department is responsible for buildings like Munn Arena and Spartan Stadium. We aren't responsible for the intramural facilities that runs through other units on campus, and so we have not historically had day-to-day responsibility for the indoor and outdoor pools at IM West. When the outdoor pool fell into disrepair, really, let me take a step back. To compete in the Big Ten in a competition pool, you've got a 25-yard pool that's typically 8 lanes. The Olympics compete in a 50-meter pool. And most recruited athletes who want to train for the Olympics as their end goal are looking for a 50-meter pool in which to do that. The nearest 50-meter pools to us, I believe, are to the west in Rockford and to the east in either Ypsilanti or Ann Arbor. And so when you don't have we used to have a 50-meter pool at least half of the year. When that pool went out of service and with no repair or replacement in sight, it took that offline for the entire year, and that left us with the IM West indoor pool, which is a smaller than standard pool, and makes both competition and practice very hard. And really severely limits somebody that's training with the hope of being an Olympic caliber athlete. So when I became athletic director, one of my first priorities was to see what could be done. We had for a time worked on a plan, but with the pandemic, my best estimation is that any progress on the outdoor pool is some number of years off, and and without the capability of having a 50-meter pool, even anywhere in our community, it creates just a huge challenge to recruit elite athletes.
For our next question, we'll go out to Lindsay Huddleston.
Thank you. Hello, Bill. With the inspiration that sports provides so many people, how do you continue to instill hope when you have to have this kind of message during these uncertain times?
Well, we've done a lot of soul searching and racked our brains, and there really is no good time to have a conversation like this. And and certainly one could argue that now is worse than many, given the the challenges that we're facing. I think in so many cases with the pandemic. But my timing was based on, once we had a firm decision and we decided that there really weren't other options, letting the student athletes know as quickly as possible so that they could make the best decisions about their futures, armed with information, as quickly as we could. I do think that that sport, and particularly college sport, is incredibly reaffirming for a community and brings great joy to so many people. And I think the ability to not have spectators in our football stadium, irregardless, I think that beginning Big Ten play this weekend in football will be part of that. And certainly our other sports add to that as well, both for the participants, their families, the university community, and our larger community. So I do think we provide many opportunities for that, and it does sadden me that swimming and diving won't be one of those going forward.
Okay, thank you.
Next, we'll go out to Chris Laurie with the Detroit Free Press.
Hey, Bill. Just so I have my numbers and timeline right, about $4 million in upgrades in 2017 to the pool, and then about $2 million back in 2007. Does that sound right?
For the indoor pool, I
The
believe.
indoor pool. Yes.
Yes.
And moving forward, in terms of the cost measures now, does that take the athletic department off the hook for any more improvements or anything else that goes on at IM West without having the program there?
Well, yeah, the athletic department was a willing contributor to pool improvements with the indoor pool, because we were a user of the pool. So although it didn't sort of belong to us in the way that it wasn't under our jurisdiction, we certainly were willing participants in the upgrades, because as a user they helped all of us, and it was our fair share to help with. But I don't think there's an expectation of us continuing to support upgrades to the pools, to the degree that we're not using them.
And as a follow, should there come a point where IM West is renovated, changed, or upgraded to include a pool, would you consider bringing back, has that conversation been had, bringing back the program at that point? And would you then also be contributing to that if they do get that plan, or is it too early to say something like that?
Yeah, I think that the outdoor pool, the 50-meter pool, when we costed that out about 2 years ago, the pool renovation was about $8.1 million, and then covering it with a permanent structure was estimated at somewhere between another $8 and $10 million. And when you look at what other universities do, those typically aren't athletics fundraised projects. They're typically university recreation center based projects. And so I think it would be challenging for us to fundraise and support a capital project like that. If the university were to do something at some future date, I don't that was actually a question that came up when I spoke with the students earlier today. And I said, yeah, I can't certainly make any promises. At the same time, I wouldn't rule anything out.
We have about 5 more minutes if there are any further questions. We'll go to Casey Campbell at this time.
Thanks, Matt. Hey, Bill, just what was there really any other possibility that you could avoid this cut, or did this have to happen, or you would have to face consequences with that?
Well, you know, I think that's, you know, that really is what we spent the last, you know, number of months, you know, really trying to work through. What were the, you know, trying to really explore every option and think through every possibility, because you know, as I said at the start, you know, walking into that room of roughly 70 athletes and 4 coaches and their support staff was, you know, certainly as hard a thing as I've done as athletic director. And I didn't want to be there any more than they wanted to be there, having that conversation. So we did work very hard to explore every option, and you know, and unturn every stone and think through every idea, as sort of, you know, sometimes wild and harebrained as things might be, you know, in an effort to see if there was a way through this. But you know, when the sort of the factors piled up between the cost crunch of the virus, the, you know, real inability for us to have facilities that allow us to recruit top tier student athletes, you know, with the, you know, with the lack of a 50-meter pool, you know, most recently, you know, the weight of the decision really sort of, you know, the question began to answer itself. And so, you know, when we made that decision, we wanted to let the student athletes know as soon as possible. But you know, certainly we tried to explore every option.
All right, thanks, Bill.
All right, at this point, I'm going to have to cut it off to allow Bill to get to the next thing on his schedule. I appreciate everyone joining us here on short notice. If anyone has any follow-up questions, reach out to me and I'll try my best to get you an answer, although I can't promise anything. So appreciate it, and hope everyone has a good evening.
Thank you, Matt.
Thanks, Bill.
Thanks so much for participating, everyone. Have a good evening.
Thanks, Bill. Take it easy.